want miracles, you know. And this is how you have to see life, live life, you know. Life is full of disappointments. Just don't make it an appointment, our master used to say. I used to laugh when he used to say, don't make an appointment and you won't be disappointed, you know. So expectations is what grabs us. But how do we free ourselves from this? It's not an overnight job. Sorry, folks. It's not that you sit and meditate and clear your mind like this, unless you're a particular saint from a previous lifetime, came to this one, and bingo, you're lucky then. There are those too, but they're very, 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 very rare. It's hard work. And you know, in all the science, the real yoga science, it tells us you really have to work on yourself for a long time. Without a break. And with all your heart. And good, I'm so proud to remember that. And what are you working towards? Again, what are you working towards? Everybody tell me. You've got to really put this in your head. Peace. The yoga science says freedom. And what did Lord Jesus say? Seek the truth and it will set you free. And what is the truth? That none of us belong to? None of us belong to each other, do we? We're just all alone to each other. None of us belong to each other. We're all gifts. All of us are gifts to each other. That's the truth, isn't it? And when we take ownership of things and we want it a certain way and we want to control certain ways, the more we want to control it, the more it escapes us. Haven't you noticed? The more you want it this way, the less it becomes this way. Our master used to say, the more you chase it, the more it runs away. So I tell people with relationships, don't chase so much, let them follow. And the only way they'll follow is when you're independent and full of faith. But you're chasing, you know, the ego works that way. It's very interesting. But when you are free, everybody loves a free person because they don't tie you down in a certain way. But how to achieve this freedom, this moksha that they speak about, that takes time. And that's understanding the golden rules. And this is why we studied Sri Patanjali, and we are studying Sri Patanjali. Some of you are new, so you haven't really come from the beginning. So I'd like to just do a brief summary. Now, before I start, can I ask you, is anybody so totally new to the meaning of yoga in this room? Okay, so we've got a few new people. Okay, so let me explain what the word yoga means. The word yoga means to yoke on. To yoke on. What are you yoking on to? Or to become one with. What are you becoming one with? Some people call it God. Some people call it peace. Some people call it Jesus. Some people call it whatever you want to call it. For me, it's unconditional love and peace. So that's my version, all right? So, and some people will call it the higher self. The higher self. In fact, most of the yoga books call it the higher self with a capital S. To yoke on to that higher self. Why do you want to yoke on to that higher self? Because most of us live a very superficial life. You know, we go to work, we make money, we do this, we do that. And there's an emptiness. We feel a bit like robots, you know. We do this, stress. And you get to a point. What for? You know, all this, and then you go home, you shout at each other. What for? It's all about money, it's all about this, it's all about that, and it's all about I want. And you get to a point and say, what is life all about? Is it all about this? And the answer is, it is not all about that. Life is much more than that. Yoga says that you can live a beautiful life, and in fact, it is our birthright. Our master says, did you know your birthright is to be happy? How dare you become miserable? What makes you miserable? As I mentioned earlier, all the desires, all the things that you want to collect. But why are you collecting it? At the expense of what? Your health, your life. With everything. What have you gained by all those things? As Lord Jesus would say, for what does it benefit a man to gain the whole world at the cost of his soul? What get you. How many people I've seen work so hard, and when, working is good, I like hard work, don't get me wrong, I worked very hard all my life, because I think we should all make a living, and not become beggars. We've got hands, and work is good for us. But not to the state that, I have to work 15 hours so I can make another couple of thousand in a year. You'll spend that with the doctors, I guarantee you. Money earned like that is no money. Or you go on a holiday, but you're so stressed out. The moment you go on holiday, you get sick. Because you're so tired, you can't even enjoy your holiday anymore. You need to rest so badly that your body falls sick. And I've seen this over and over again. How many people have I seen, once they retire, they immediately, very, very, very shortly afterwards, many die. And you know, who was telling me a story just the other week, I think in Spain, they said there was this couple waiting to retire. And you know, he'd worked all his life, a lot of money, and his wife was saying, darling, let's go on holiday. It's always on business, let's go on holiday. He says, now I'm retiring, and we'll do all the things we want to. We'll start with a cruise, we'll start with this, we'll start with that. Do you know, 1 month later, he was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. So, you know, you have to think, yoga is about living the highest you can while you're working, so the work doesn't become stressful, but full of love. You know, being aware, just being awake to life, feeling the moment, you know, breathing every moment in spirit. We are spiritual beings having a material existence, not the other way around. It really isn't. Because the spirit is what fills the body, just as petrol fills the car. Nowadays it's diesel and hope electric, right? Or I don't know if that's good for the environment. Whatever. You know, whatever. You know, solar energy. But you know, we are energized by something. What leaves the body when we die is the energy. Call it soul, call it what you want. So we come to earth to experience. We're given the senses, right? Senses are lovely. You know, you see beautiful things, you can love someone, can taste delicious food, can smell nice flowers, and you know, the grass after a rainy day, and the colors of the mountains after the rain. So many beautiful things the senses can make us feel and enjoy, and that's what we were meant to do. But what happens to us? We lose balance. We always want more than what we need. We want more, more, more. So this is what throws us off. So the more you want, the more you struggle to get those things. The question you have to ask is, what do you want that will keep you full of peace and keep you full of joy? Life is going to be stressful. Life is going to be, it's always going to be stressful. It's life. Don't make it stressful. Once in a while, yes, it's normal. But make your stress the kind of stress that works for you, not against you. The stress that works for you is, oh, Nalanie, I really want, after that Friday, which was only like half an hour that she had this bad patch, which is great, it's brilliant going. After that was, you know, I need to get this done because I want it ready for everybody else. There's no sickness. It's not got to get it done because I need to do this and I have to go on holiday. And why did you do? You know, that's a different kind of stress. There's two kinds of stress, right? The stress that is good for you is the one that wants you to create joy, laughter wherever you go. The stress that is bad for you is the one that makes the anger. Watch yourself. Which one are you? And is it really worth living a life full like that? Sometimes it's just easier to say, I'm exhausted, I can't do it anymore, full stop, take a break, take a week off. But take a week off not to fill it up with different things, take a week off to just do, to be, to walk. People don't walk enough in nature anymore. Why don't you walk in nature? Why don't people walk in nature anymore? In the old days, people used to walk in nature. People don't listen to music just to listen to music. They're listening to music and there's like 1,000 stresses on there. I have to do this, and then you know, suddenly in the middle of this beautiful song, you hear this conversation, you go, where did that come from when the music is so full of love and joy? You know, we don't seem to enjoy anything. We don't taste life because we get carried away So the yoga sciences, the goal is to learn. The second sutra that I teach is, or Patanjali teaches us, is yoga, some of you know this, yoga chitta vritti nirodha. And what does that mean? You can see they just did the course. Some of you will be, I think there's a few of you coming to Portugal. You're coming to Portugal. You're coming to Portugal, great. Where we're going to do 6 days intensive of this course. And what does it mean? The restraints of the modifications of the mind stuff is yoga. Learn to restrain those desires or those thoughts that make you so stressful. You know, when you're getting like this, about to pick up the phone at work and you're going to shout at somebody who goes, oh, I can't bear this situation. Instead of letting it carry you, take a deep breath. Just take a deep breath. Where is this getting me? Look what's happening to me. I'm saying words I don't even like myself for afterwards. I'll regret it. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to regret later. So look at my body. Look at how I look. Look, go to the mirror and see your face. Ooh, I'm not stressed. Just do that. Do I like who I am? No, I don't like myself like this. You really don't. You won't like yourself. Every person who has a problem with anger and control that has seen me come because they hate what they've done. They get angry, they scream at somebody, they make them feel that small, but they end up hating themselves. Huh? And especially that person should die. And that's happened to me. The guilt that stays with them. Oh, I couldn't have a little bit more patience. And I'm sorry, but you didn't know. You didn't know how to do it. So let's learn now so you don't make the mistake again. Let's learn now. It's never too late. Somebody said to me, oh, I'm this way. I can't change. This is who I am. I said, oh, no, I told you that. I said, is there a way out? I said, of course. You mean I can stop being so controlling? Absolutely. There's a whole science that teaches us. That's what yoga is, to live the best you can. And that person said to me, I know I'm a really good person. But I don't know why I just say these things. So all you have to learn is that little restraint. But of course, if you've been doing something for so many years, that restraining is also going to take a few years. So you've got to be very patient with who you are. And accept that you're going to make mistakes. So restraining, what does restraining represent to you? Just holding back. It's not saying control that as well, because that'll bring you another stress mode. You don't want to control anything. You just want to hold back so it gives you enough time to think and do the wise thing. That's all. To be aware of who you are, what your personality is. It's very easy to blame the world for your problems. But I tell you, there's nobody to blame except ourselves. And this is what I loved most when I studied this science. Do you know how freeing it is to stop blaming? But you did that. Do you know how freeing it's to say, this has happened to me because of certain things I must have done in the past. I know why this person is treating me like this, because I did this to somebody else. It's freeing, because there's nothing to point. There's nowhere to go with it. And you don't have to go nagging for years of your life the same thing, It frees you. That's the freedom. Don't you all want that freedom? Isn't that what we come here for? Isn't that what the science is all about? Glimpse of freedom. And the wonderful thing about that freedom is, Sri Patanjali says, when you learn to restrain your mind and all these thought patterns, what happens? The next sutra. The seer abides in its own true nature. Of course, now the mind is quite quiet because you like yourself that you didn't shout and you're calm. You like yourself and you don't keep complaining, poor me, poor me, poor me. You know what? I'm actually quite rich and quite well off. You kind of like yourself. I'm not a bad human being. You like yourself better. You didn't blow it again. You start to like yourself. And then there's a little bit more respect, so self-esteem goes up. And what a pretty sound. Is it somebody's beautiful phone? Sound like bells? Didn't it? And so then your self-esteem goes up. When your self-esteem goes up, then you respect, right? The mind becomes quiet. It becomes a little quiet. And when it becomes quiet, you witness your mind. You witness, my mind is quiet. Who is it that's watching my mind think? And the more you do this, and then you start to, and you get curious about this higher self who is able to watch the mind think. It's very exciting work, I tell you. You'll never go back in your life because there's nothing more exciting than finding out, wow, what's going on in my body? It really is like a computer. Who's running what? Then you see that there's this higher energy that's watching the demon and the angel. You can watch it. And you don't have to let them control you when they want to. You suddenly take over. You said, the demon said, scream and shout. And you go, no. I'm going to take the side of the angel, and I can choose this side as much as I like. And you can keep talking to me. You know, you're such a fool. People use you. Do good, be good. What a lot of rubbish. People keep going and going and going. You know, what's the point of all this? And you go, sorry, I'm stronger than you. I've gone down that road. I've suffered too much. I don't want to go there again. I don't. I really don't. I don't care if I appear a fool. I need my peace, you know. And then this gives you great kind of like, who is that higher self that's watching? Who is in my body besides my mind? Who's in my body? We call it God, we call it the higher self. Some people say, I see Jesus. Some people say, I see Gurudev. You know, words are not important, but there's a feeling, an elation. And Sri Patanjali in Sutras 3 tells us very clearly, this higher self gives you the feeling of living in truth. Just knowing all you need to know and feeling blissful. Feeling blissful. You're quite happy, you're blissed. And you don't need intelligence to feel this. Some of the greatest thinkers, some of our, you know, I talked about Ramana Maharishi yesterday. He was an illiterate in India, in the middle of nowhere. He was self-realized, he realized the divine within him. And people came from all over the world in those times, when we talk about early 1900s, to find him. How does it happen? How does it happen? Because the soul that is self-realized creates like a magnet, because we are made of that. We are creatures of love. We are creatures that love care. That's why we always search for it. And yet in our lives we don't live the way we are. We're constantly judging, we're constantly angry, we're constantly wanting things our way. You know, if we could just be constantly being what we truly are, is, you know what, today goes wrong, doesn't matter, tomorrow forgive, and just keep going and just keep laughing. Then we become our true selves. So anyway, going back to Sutra 3, Sri Patanjali says, you know, just realize that you really are this truth, knowledge, bliss, absolute. Your time, more or less, is very short on this earth. So how do you want to live it? It's a science. This is the goal, to live in truth, knowledge, and bliss. You can do it while you're alive. Then he goes on to say, when you are in that feeling, you see everything very clearly. And a clear mind is a peaceful mind, isn't it? It's actually neutral. It's like a pendulum. When it goes too much to one side, when you let it go, it has to go to the other side. That's why I always tell people, very, very high highs bring very low lows. Don't seek the very high high. You will get very low lows. Addictions create the very high highs. Any addiction. Even the addiction to be good creates a very high high. Did you know that? I'm so good, I'm so good, I'm so good. And the next day somebody doesn't say thank you or anything. Ooh, you got a low, I'm not appreciated. Do you see? Our master used to say, let the pendulum be in perfect balance. You're always still. And what did Lord Jesus say? Oh, the Psalms. Be still and know that I am God. Be still. What is lacking in our world today? Anybody can tell me? Stillness. What is lacking in our world today? The stillness. It's worse than ever. It's worse. There's too many things to do. Too many places to be. Too much noise all around us. There's no stillness. And that's why so many people suffer from panic attacks. And so many people suffer from depression. And so many people suffer. And I keep telling them, you got the tools. Take your time out of it. But out in nature. Why nature? Because it's still. It's still. It's still there. Don't go with another group of people to create another habit. Go for even 1 hour. But get there. Be there alone. Or unless you know somebody who's as still as you, wants the stillness as much as you. If you have a partner like that, you're very blessed. You both walk in silence for an hour. Enjoy the trees. Enjoy, not cha-cha-cha-cha-cha, this happened and that happened. You don't need all that. Because there's no stillness. Get away. Be still. In the old days, there was stillness. Today, there's none. But don't worry, we've got lots of tools that they didn't have. We've got lovely soft music that can help us be still if you can't be quiet. We've got lovely things that the earth has given us to help us be still. We can use tools. So learn to still yourself. So he tells you, okay, when you're not in this joyful feeling, you think you are what people tell you you are. That's Sutra 4. So if somebody tells you, you're fat, you get in a bad mood all day, and you think you're fat. Next day somebody tells you you're skinny. Oh, I'm too thin, you get in a bad mood all day. You're rich, you're poor. One day you're rich, next day you lose your money, you lose your identity. Shoot yourself. Hasn't it happened? So many people have committed suicide with this credit crunch. You know, have you read, seen documentaries, whatever. So, and this is what, because you think you are what everybody tells you you are. But you're much more than that. Remember, your spirit living in a physical body. You're that. You are not this person. Anyway, this person will die. This person, for example, my body, that is Nalanie, is going to die and stay behind. There's no doubt about that. There's no doubt about that. So what will leave my body is my spirit. So you keep reminding. You see, that's the work you have to do. I can't do it for you, neither can any of the teachers of the yoga center. All they can do is share their knowledge with you. But it's up to you to keep working on yourself. And then after that, he tells you, learn to understand what your mind is. Your mind is your instrument. Your mind is your computer. Learn what goes on in your mind. He said, let me make it really easy for you. There are 2 real types of thoughts that stay in your mind. Painful or painless. Some thoughts will cause you pain and others will cause you no pain. Our master, Sri Swami Satchidananda, defined it even more clearly. He said, let me change it and make it even easier for you to understand. Selfish and selfless. And you know, recently I was teaching this science to some people. And there was this lovely lady, in fact I asked her, could I use her as an example? She said, absolutely. In London, Japanese lady who's been doing counseling for a long time. And she took the course with me in London. And she said to me, you know, I've been doing this for so long. And I've realized, she was crying, really literally crying. She said, I got it, the jigsaw puzzles fit in. I said, what? What has fit in? Tell me, I'd like to learn. And she said, been doing counseling, but I see they get better and then they get worse. They get better and they get worse. And I found out what the key is. And I said, what do you think the key is? Because we'd studied a lot of sutras by then. And she said, the key to healing is selfish and selfless. She said, all my patients are totally selfish. It's all about them. It's all about them. And that's why their problem stays. Because it's all I, me, mine, as you heard me say 1,000 times, and my master say 1,000 times. So many minds, they'll blow up in your mind. So here's really funny. You tell lots of nice stories, to make you smile. So this is what the selfish, and this is what she told me. And she said, do you mind if I use this with my psychology? And God says, wonderful, they'll heal. Because it is the truth. It is the truth. When you're constantly in your own problem, what are you doing? Common sense, isn't it? There's no science, actually, when you think about it. You're constantly thinking about yourself. I want, I need. Look how miserable you become. Isn't it true? Just observe. All Sri Patanjali did was observe the mind. And when the mind is at peace, it's not asking for anything, is it? It's really just not asking. It just is. It's just balanced. When you're at peace, you're just balanced. You're just happy. So this is, and this is what, you see, this is people misunderstand religion. They think they've caused wars. But the religions haven't caused wars. It's man that's caused the wars. It's man's search for control and power, so they keep everybody in fear. And the poor religion gets blamed. Nothing to do with religion, to with man who wants to control. And this is what Lord Jesus meant by seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all else will be added unto you. Or seek God and His righteousness first, and all else will be added in you. We seek all else first. And nothing's added but stress. And at the end of it, for what? What kind of life have we lived? Empty, no meaning, no depth, no joy, no laughter, just a mishmash of nothing. Gray. We weren't meant to be like that. We were meant to live this life every single minute with every single breath in this bliss. So those are the two ways, selfish and selfless. I'm not going to go intensely into that. It's just reviewing today. Just think about it. Notice your thoughts. Notice your thoughts. When you're very selfish. So somebody has once asked me that, but Nalanie, what if I want to meditate and I want to grow, and then it's too hot there. Do you want to move? Yes, it's too hot. Please. I know. Are you comfortable here on the steps?
I was going to, yeah.
Would you mind? Thank you. Monica, are you okay?
I think I'm okay. Yes, a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, can you? I know it's very good. You still need to. No, not at all. I worry about you. I'm sorry. Do you want some water?
No, I'm right. I'm menopause, so I get hot flushes. Which doesn't have.
Doesn't tell. So, selfish or self? What was I? I don't even know. Yeah. So, nothing about meditation, and my partner. My partner doesn't like it, says I'm very selfish, but I have every right to look after myself because I need to be better. That's not the attitude. You're meditating to find your peace. You're not meditating to irritate everybody else. So if you really are spiritual, the first thing you have to understand that everybody else is too. Their search for spirit might be different from yours. They may not need to meditate the way you do. Accept it. So what do? Adapt, our masters tell us, adjust, and accommodate. When you practice that, everything, I remember when I first started meditating, of course my husband thought, what's my wife doing? She goes to work with me, he didn't like it at all. He felt like I was going away from him when I told him I just want to be a better person. I want to be a better wife, a better mother. I don't like myself. I was angry all the time. I didn't like who I was. You don't like who you are when you're not happy. You know, we're just not meant to be that way. I want to better myself. So I asked him, I said, do you mind, because we had a very small apartment at that time, if I come like half an hour late to work? Ideal time for meditation is like 6 o'clock in the morning, and I love getting up early, but so did he. and he could stay much later at night than I could, so I fall asleep very quickly. So I'm, okay, you go to work and I'll come half an hour late. That's how I started. And then by itself, when he saw me changing, by itself, I said, oh, I'll come a little later today, I'll come 1 hour later. There was like an acceptance of that until the next step came when I said, I want to study more. You know, but it's all, you just take it slowly with people. You adapt, you adjust, and you accommodate. And then in time, you know, after so many years, I used to get up very early, and every morning he used to bring me a hot cup of water at 5:30, every morning, you know, because he knew I'd love a cup of hot water. And so it just shows how you can, when you start to really want to do something sincerely and not selfishly, but sincerely, there's a difference. And if they really don't understand, then you just tell them truthfully, I need this time, I'm not happy, I need to be happy. I want to learn, I want to be good, I want to be kind, I want to love my life, I want to live it. Then if you tell them nicely, they can understand. They can understand. Maybe it'll take them time, but be patient. Just be patient. And for God's sake, don't think you're better than anybody else. This is a mistake most spiritual people make. Stay humble, please. They are your test to how spiritual you can become. Where do you start? At home. You know, charity begins at home. I keep telling people, they tell me, oh, I want to have world peace. And I say, how's peace in your home? Is your home peaceful? It's a war zone. How do you expect to have peace in the world? Make your home peaceful first. Then you know you can deal with the world. If you can't deal with somebody you're supposed to love or be in love with, how are you going to deal with somebody you really don't like? My God, we're going to have many world wars, which is what's happened to our world. I want to make peace, but I want to shoot you to make peace. I want to blow you up to make peace. That's what's happened to our world. How can fire put out a fire? Ask yourself that. So be careful with the selfish and selfless. I have seen many yoga teachers, and I'll be very honest with you. You know, children, have you eat your dinner because I have to do my yoga class? I don't think my child would want to do yoga if I did that. You know, hurry. You know, well, how are you teaching? What are you teaching? What are you talking? What are you saying? You want to go to yoga class? Great. Teach them how to, you know, I'm going to my class. So you make a sacrifice. You would make dinner 15 minutes early so that you could go to, give them the dinner, or teach them how to look after the stuff. When I come home, I'll tell you all the things I've learned. We can chat. I can tell you, would you like to come? It's early. Doesn't matter. You can join me. If you get bored, you can fall asleep. Inclusive. You know, many people who start spiritual, I have seen a mistake that many people make is when they start becoming spiritual, they separate. They think they're better than the other person. Big mistake. I see too much of this happening today. So you can only teach by an example. So be the example, okay, of love and kindness and understanding and compassion. And then go your journey. So that's selfish and selfless. And then after that he says, let me introduce you to some of the things that happen in your mind. And he breaks it really easily down for us, and he says, there are kind of 5 thoughts that are in your mind. The first kind of thought wave is called right knowledge. What is right knowledge? Something that you observed by direct perception. For example, directly, I know she's wearing an orange chiffon skirt, so I can go and say to Lakshmi, she was wearing an orange chiffon shirt. Direct, right? Skirt, orange. Orangey peach.
So already we have a problem.
Coral, but we can rectify rectified because you see it and I see it. Do you see it as coral, bright coral?
Yeah, no problem.
Is that better? Okay. Frankly, if it came to it, you know what I would do normally? This is a great example that she corrected me. Normally, if it's really just a skirt and somebody wants to insist it's one color and it's the other, right, you're right, not worth fighting over, okay? Little things, don't bother. Its color is different of perception also. I will see that as more orange, you will see it as more coral. So don't bother. Not worth arguing about. I just go, yeah. But that was good to show, to rectify. Because sometimes the person is very stuck. I saw this coral, so, okay, you know what? It's coral then. You know, no big deal. If it's something important, then you should fight for what you believe in. But it's something like that small, because this is what happens in life a lot, with not just clothes, but many things. We see it differently. The eyes, the vision sees it differently. So it's really not worth debating over. Do you know? It really isn't. So this is what I find that a lot of people do with the mind stuff. And we're coming to misconception next and verbal delusion. We have too many things. So what you see is what you know, okay? By your own self. The other thing is inference. You can infer, Sri Patanjali tells us, that when there is smoke, there must be some kind of fire. Right or wrong? So if somebody tells you, oh, there is smoke, you say, oh, the other day we saw a lot of smoke around Torre Guadiaro, and there was a huge fire there last year. You know, you can more or less assume that. And then the third right knowledge is, they say, scriptural testimony. What does that mean? Look at all the scriptures of all the different traditions. We have them around the room. You know, all the different religions actually all talk about this divine being as light and love. If you look through all the traditions, and all of them, if you study, talk about that spirit being in you. Different ways of expression. Lord Jesus said, I am my Father's son, you are my brothers and sisters. So what does that make us? Daughters and sons, all of us, right? And other times he said, I and my Father are one. That was when he was in the state of truth, knowledge, bliss, absolute. When he had to take on his human personality, he became the Son. Are you understanding that? Are you starting to see that? The divine in us is so pure, not tainted by our mind. So many times we can fluctuate between the highest we are and our human personalities. Then we become the Son. When we understand the highest personality, there's not even the human personality left. We work on a different vibrational level, totally different vibrational level. You can feel the vibration is so different. All right? So that's what he meant by that. So then we go to, then he goes, yeah. So that's right knowledge. So know what is truth. Don't just make, oh, I don't believe in a God because all the religions, that's a bit ridiculous also. Maybe you don't believe in the word God, but then study what you're saying. You know, or even quantum physics has proved there is energy everywhere, there's a consciousness everywhere, you know, about having the black hole and then going into, there's a lovely documentary called The Black Hole about a scientist discovering God as science. You know, the atom is not the smallest particle, he goes deeper and deeper and deeper. It's really interesting. If you can get it, it's called The Black Hole with a W-H-O-L-E. He goes into mathematics and physics and all that. So so what do you call this? Divine? So let's just call it divine energy. So don't just shut it off because of man's, it's like politics. Religion has become politics. But don't blame the religion, all right? It's politics, you know. Politicians are supposed to look after the country. Do they all look after their country? Sorry, they don't. Many look after their own pockets, and this is where the problem starts. Selfish or selfless. Wherever you find a politician that looks after the country first, you will see that country will survive. And in the Bhagavad Gita it says, whatever a great person does, others will follow. So be that great soul, that great spirit living in this human world. Be that. You are that. We forget it. We sell it for a few nonsense, a little bit of gossip here, and a little bit of this, and a little bit of sensitivity. Somebody said this about me. You know what? Let it go. So what? No big deal. We don't take things so personally. All right, then he continues to say, okay, now what are the problems that we come up with in our mind stuff, Misconception. Many times we misconceive things, For example, I could come and say, I won't choose you. I'll say, she's wearing a yellow blouse. And somebody else will say, no, it's not yellow, that's mustard. Right? We'll just say that, right? And then the third person will listen and say, well, I really don't trust this one, I trust that one. And so maybe the person who said yellow was wrong, and the person who said mustard was right. Misconception, this person always likes to prove the other person wrong. And then, do you see, a story is made up where really nothing happened. Chinese whispers. We have it all the time. Gibraltar's rife with it. And why is it rife with it? Not for any other reason, but because we're a small community. And it happens when it's a small community, immediately something happens, it goes around very quickly. But if you live in far distances, it takes a longer time for things to go around. And by that time, you've forgotten it already. Do you see? So smaller distance, dense population, small communities, you do find this, not only in Gibraltar, but anywhere in the world. You do find this in small communities. So misconception, and because of that misconception, we build thoughts in our brain and our mind stuff that really are not important at all. But we go home and then, oh, why did this person say this? And then many times the person, oh, Nalanie, why did you say this? And they worry about it. But I go, I didn't mean it this way. And you've totally misconceived the whole thing. And you spent 1 week suffering when it was a totally different story. Why did you, at that moment, come to me and ask me directly instead of suffering for a whole week? And you see that happening all the time. People don't know how to communicate, so we misconceive. This is a big problem in our life. Learn to communicate. If something bothers you, immediately you've heard something, please, with great love, communicate it to the other person immediately before it festers. Doesn't matter if they don't like it. It's just you are not brave enough. You're a coward. Are you understanding that? It's nobody's fault, but clear it up. Misconception causes so much problem in this world. Verbal delusion, well, you all know verbal delusion. Or is that advertising, Advertising. What is it? What's everything in advertising is untruthful these days, isn't it? You'll put on this cream and you'll stay young forever. And you won't believe it, yeah, people spend millions on creams. Did you know that? We use pranayama. It's true, we use breathing techniques, So anyway, that's the other thing. That's verbal delusion. And finally, then he tells you also, when you are sleeping, you dream. We all have dreams, don't we? And many times we take our dreams to be real, and we get a little confused about reality and not reality. And he says, notice one thing. Even when you are sleeping, there are thoughts going on. Even when you're sleeping. And even when you think there is nothing going on, there is something going on. There is. There's always something going on. So, and then he says memory. Most of us live in our past. Haven't you noticed? We live in the past. And he said, these are the thoughts that keep going in our mind. Notice them. And then learn how to deal with them. Learn how to deal with them. And then he says, but how do you learn how to deal with them? In Sutra 12, he tells us, by practice and non-attachment. Now the rest of the sutras is going to teach us how to practice and how to learn non-attachment. So what is practice, he says? Practice, in Sutra 13, he tells you, is the effort you use to steady your mind. Effort towards steadiness of mind is practice. Wow. So what is the job here? Simple. Keep that mind steady. Keep it steady. So when your mind's going all over the place, and this is why we meditate, my friends, to really bring the mind back to one place. It goes da 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 da. Look at the flame. Da 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 da. Look at the flame. Oh, it gets very stressful. I can't meditate anymore. Okay, so he tells us, how do you do this? You do it for a long time. Without a break. Don't stop and start, stop and start. If you stop and start anything in life, you'll never be good at it. If you take piano lessons and you take it for 2 months and you stop and you take it after 6 months, you'll never be any good. Stop, start, stop, start, stop, stop. He says, don't stop. Once you start, carry on. The moment you stop, all that will creep back again. It will creep back. I'm warning you, it does. You know, it does. You've got to keep working. And what are you working on? Yourself. What can be better? You don't need a psychologist. You don't need a shrink. You don't need anybody. You only need you. You need some nice thoughts in the mind, which you can control. So he tells us, practice for a long... I'm just laughing because she's trying to leave so quietly.
The more she tries, the worse she's making it.
She's really trying and everything falls. And this is funny, you know? Because you can't see it from here. And I'm watching her there and she's really trying to creep out because she's got some other place to go to. And it's so funny. Anyway, so let's keep the mind back to focus, steady. So this is, no problem. So this is, I thought you had a class elsewhere, Gigi. Sorry. Didn't you have another class now? Don't you have another talk to go to now? Oh, I thought you did on Wednesdays. Forgive me. Okay. Okay, so you're, okay. Are you steady? Are you focused? Thank you for all your help in the center, really. Thank you very much indeed, and everything you've done. So here we go back to focusing. So we bring our thoughts. Focus. Bring it to one thing. Sri Patanjali says do it for a long time. Don't have breaks. You know, people tell me, oh, I meditated 2 days and I couldn't, But the secret, he tells us, is to do it with, you can tell me. Your heart, to love it. That's the secret. Anything you love doing in your life, when you love it, isn't it working? It's working. Oh, I love to clean. It works. I'm constant cleaning. It doesn't work, right? I love to see people happy. I will see people happy because I love it. But I want to see people happy. It doesn't work. Do you see? Doesn't work. So you have to really, it has to come from here. And what I find, what makes me really sad today is I just feel people don't love themselves enough to invest in their spirit. Makes me a little sad. Because if they could just invest in their spirit, you know, we invest in homes, we invest in people, we invest in things, we invest in everything, but we don't invest in our souls. Oh, I don't have time. Your soul is what's going to stay for you for eternity. Glory be to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning, is now, and forever will be, shall be without end. You are never going to die. Energy doesn't die. It transforms. Why don't you invest in that? Even a mobile phone. Oh, gotta remember. My iPad, gotta remember to plug it. It needs a rest. It needs a recharge. Even our computers we look after better than we look after ourselves. It's a shame. It's a shame that people can make time for all these things, and they can't make time for themselves, their soul, just to recharge themselves. And then that's where I see the low self-esteem. That's where I see that you haven't got who you are. You don't know your soul. You don't know. Because if you know that you are spirit living in a body, then you would make that time. You would. You'd have to, because everything else is irrelevant. And when you realize the joy, what does Sri Patanjali tell us in Sutra 3? That you will experience truth, knowledge, bliss, absolute. Don't you want peace? And once you start to focus, sit down and fill your heart with love, and that's how I tell people to start meditating. Don't say, I have to sit down and keep the mind quiet. One guru told his disciple, you want to do that? Take a hammer and hit your head much faster. It doesn't happen like that. I'm sorry, folks. It first starts with concentration. You have to just concentrate, and that takes hard work. It takes hard work. So start with something that really makes you feel great. If you don't believe in a higher being, whatever, then use a flame. I always say a flame, because why? A candle is so, if you have this flame, and can you all see it? Can everybody see the flame? It's so non-judgmental, isn't it? And if you keep staring at the flame, just keep staring. Can you all do this for me? Just keep staring. Close your eyes. Open your eyes. Stare again. Close your eyes. Open your eyes. Okay, when you close your eyes, anybody see anything? What went on in your mind? What happened there? Anybody like to just guess? Don't be afraid, nothing is wrong. Yes.
Still.
You can still see the flame. So, Sri Patanjali, some of you can't, don't worry, it's early days of practice. But you will see, sometimes when you meditate, for me all the time, when you open your eyes and meditate, it's called trotak. Trotak is an exercise that you just stare, and the thoughts will keep going, but you don't give it any energy. You focus on the staring, and then when you close your eyes, that image will stay there. Now, what happens with this image when it stays there? Now, flame, light is representing all light is light over darkness, right? The radiance of Buddha shines ceaselessly. This is from Buddhism, the radiance. So it reminds you of the radiance of the soul, the spirit. So already the mind is diverted from all the click, 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 this happened, blah, 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 all the noise. A never-ending noise. And comes already to a very simple place of flame, right? Flame. You see the flame there? Wow, I see the flame. And guess what? When I see it in my mind, it actually has now at the moment, a very bright fuchsia color. It's turning now to purple, and oh my God, it's shrinking now, and that's what I'm seeing. I'm telling you exactly what I'm seeing, but it's only on one thing. Do you see? And I'm loving that. Wow, I'm seeing the flame in here. I'm loving it. So what am I doing at that moment? I'm training. This is training. Don't even think about meditation till you learn to train the mind to concentrate. So you can use something like a candle. For me, I saw my beloved master as a representation of divine qualities, strength, straightforwardness, kindness, goodness, service to the world. So in my early days, obviously, I have no problems with a master being my father and I are one. I had no problems with that, so I used him. And every day, look in those eyes, till it was imprinted in my soul that every time I closed my eyes, I saw his face and I felt his goodness. Do you see? He became me. I became him. This is what they call guru-disciple relationship. You just become one. It's hard to explain, but experience it. So I use that. Other people use anything that's uplifting, the sky, the stars, up to you. Choose your own divine. But make sure it inspires you. All right? It doesn't matter anything so long as it brings you to a place of peace. That is the goal. Remember? So keep training. So I hope you'll all go home tonight and do this, right? Or tomorrow morning. Will you? Will you try? How come? You see, I just told you, it's so sad that people don't spend time on themselves. Instead of getting a room of people saying, yes, I'm definitely going to do it. Even if it's for 1 minute, I see like, do you see what I mean? Isn't it sad? After 20 years of saying this, I still see people who doubt it, that they the only way you can test if something works is try it yourself. Don't trust me, but I'm giving you a way out of your noisy mind. Do you want it? Don't you? Don't trust me. It's not me anyway. It's Sri Patanjali. It's knowledge that's available 5,000 years ago. Human beings have not changed. Circumstances have. Our outer world has. Our inner world is the same. So this knowledge is given to you freely with joy. Test it. Any of you been to psychologists for years and still can't clean the mind? I'm giving you, or Sri Patanjali is giving us a way out. But he's telling us very clearly, you have to do it for you. Did you hear me? I do it every day, so I'm happy. I got my gift. I got my gift. I can live life fully every day. And I think everybody in this world should. And I think this should be taught in schools. I think it should be taught everywhere. So I tell my students, whatever you learn, or even if you're not a teacher, just spread it. Spread it by being the light, by giving more peace. Just spread it. When you smile, the world will smile with you. Don't you know the song? And the other one that we sang at your father's funeral? Smile though your heart is breaking. And what an example you were to the world. What an example they were. The most painful times of their life, they smile. And the world, so many people came to the yoga center after that because of them. How did they manage that? So, you don't have a choice. Be miserable and you will be alone. Guaranteed. So, smile more, and you will smile more. You will, naturally, if there's more quiet in your mind. Naturally. How is 7:22? So naturally, you will smile more when there's less nonsense. Why? Because when there's less thoughts, you will notice such pretty things in life and things that you never believed possible. Really, there's another dimension out there that we really don't see because our minds are so flooded. The miracles are not changing water into wine. The miracles are the everyday miracles. Simple things, you just have to ask and you'll receive. It was Sam today. She said she really, Sam has this passion for this science. She just has this passion, and her teachers will tell you that, and she goes, I've driven round and round and round, and if I can't find a parking, I'm going to go home. She got a parking. Because a sincere thought attracts another sincere happening. We attract what we think. The universe and us are one. But when we fight, just sincere, I really, 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 really want to be there, we'll create that for you. And the determination, which is what we all need. The determination. And this is what you have to put in. Nobody can do that for you. So anyway, Sri Patanjali tells us how to practice, and very simply I've explained it. But of course, there's a lot of methods, and because minds are very complicated. And then he says, okay, the next one, non-attachment. You can practice and practice and practice meditation for 18 years, but if you're still attached to your moods, your controlling behavior, your home, my children are mine, my family is my property, this is mine, whoa, life will slash you. Nothing is ours. So what non-attachment doesn't mean you don't love everything. Non-attachment actually means you give freedom to everything. You allow people to grow the way they need to grow. Non-attachment is actually so loving and so great in itself because it doesn't ask for ownership. It just is. You're not mine, you're alone to me for a little while. I love you. Till you're mine. Next day you go, no big deal. Hard to do. Our master once said in a Larry King live show, have you seen that? Have you ever seen a snippet of that? He was on Larry King Live on CNN, and Larry King says, oh, this is all well with all you are teaching us, but he says, what would you advise if a man comes home and he catches his wife in bed with another man? What would you do? And he said, oh, I would say, I'm going down for a cup of tea. Is that what he said?
I'll make you a cup of tea.
Can I make you one too? I thought that was so great. Should I make you one too? You want to be with somebody else? Go ahead. Go ahead. You just walk out of the equation. You just walk out of the equation. Not easy to do. Not easy to do. Very hard. You really have to develop such a strong mind to enable yourself to do that. It's quite impossible. And then to say, I'm going to experience the pain. I'm going to experience the pain. To accept the pain is going to come. And have a cup of tea and accept pain as a human condition, because it is a human condition. And it comes, if it doesn't come in one way, it comes in another way. It's a human condition. Accept the pain and not strike back in return. Why? Because when you accept the pain and you walk away or fight for the situation, whatever you want, but fight with love. That's the other thing, you have to fight with love. See how many things, there's so many paradoxes. Do you see it? This is why it's not that simple. I'm trying to make it really simple, but there's so many paradoxes. So this is why week after week we explain all these things, because then you go into all the nitty-gritty of the whole affair and why did it happen and do. And if you do that, it means you still have to learn a lot about human behavior, about psychology, and a lot about yourself and how you're feeling, your insecurities, why did this happen to you? Then you have to go through all that psychological. You see, in the case of my master, he was transcended it. Do you see? That's the goal. But until you transcend it and get there, you have to do the battling and the work, how to behave and learn all that. Huh? That takes time. That takes time. But the goal would be, okay, fine, you really don't want me? Our master would say, if somebody doesn't want you, why would you want to be with them? Don't you deserve to be with somebody who loves you? I love that. I use that all the time. I just love it to bits because it's the truth. If somebody doesn't want you or wants somebody else, you're going to force them to stay? Why? You don't want me? Fine. I deserve somebody who loves me. You're trying to make it work, but if they really, really, really don't want, like sometimes I've seen in breakups, they really don't want to go back, And I go, why are you fighting? Why are you flogging a dead horse? You can cry for 20 years, you're not going to get it back. They don't want you. Full stop. Accept. Feel the pain. Feel the pain. You're going to. And start healing yourself. You deserve better. Start healing yourself. Start getting better in yourself. Don't waste 20 years of life crying over spilled milk. You know? And then look for that person who loves you for what you are. You deserve it. So, that's so see the many dimensions. So I'm just giving it to you in a nutshell. So that brings us to Sutra 16, and it talks about supreme non-attachment, but I'm not even going to go there because forget it. If you don't even do step 1, 2, and 3, there's no need to know about supreme non-attachment. So non-attachment really is, for me, simply in layman's English, I would say is knowing nothing is ours, everything is on loan, everything is a gift. Treat everything with love, treat everything with respect, treat everything with generosity of spirit, and just be grateful for whatever we have when we have it. Non-attachment is not worrying about the past, it's not worrying about the future. It's just being in the now. Because attachment takes you to the past, and attachment takes you to the future. Non-attachment just keeps you in the now.
So you can't shut it off.
And you know, do you know what? It's such a pretty ring, and it's actually telling me it's 7:30 time zone. So it's perfect. Thank you for the reminder. So I'd like to finish, if you don't mind.
And I wanted to apologise because we put subject tonight because that's where we were up to. Of course we didn't cover it, right?
No.
Just apologise.
Okay, she would like to apologize because I was supposed to talk about truthfulness tonight, but I didn't feel...
That was truthful, absolutely. Thank you.
But I felt it was important for the new people to understand what we had covered, and it's good revision for everybody anyway. And also a little something for those who are taking the course next week with me in Portugal, so that they don't have to read all these sutras. I've done the reading for them. Because that's the requirement, you all need to read these sutras, right? So, non-attachment, so let's just finish off with, would you mind doing a 1-minute meditation with me? So maybe 5. Can you all spare 5?
Yes.
Because 1 minute is being really totally unrealistic. Okay. We're going to distract from the outside noise and go to the beautiful music that Shanti has created. I love this one. I use it all the time with my patients. Please close your eyes. Keep your spine erect. Take a slow, deep breath. Exhale very slowly, moving your head from side to side, releasing the tension from the back of your neck and your shoulders. Now keep it still. Take another slow, deep breath. Feel the cool, clean air enter every single cell of your body. And as you exhale, feel this peace entering this room, almost like it's coming from your nostrils to every single atom in space. Visualize a beautiful white light surrounding your body, protection, And now bring this ball of light into your heart area. It will help for people who are doing this first time to put the palm of the right hand on your heart. And see this ball of light inside your heart. And there, see an image of something that makes you so happy. A person, nature, whatever you choose. See it there. Fill your soul with love. See yourself enter into this light as you are dressed today. See yourself, actually see yourself inside this ball of light. And see yourself peaceful, still. See yourself wearing a smile. Nice smile on your face. Say to yourself, peace is my birthright. I am peace. Take a deep breath. And as you exhale, I am peace. And for the next 2 minutes, just listen to the music and allow yourself to be in a beautiful place, walking on the grass or being with somebody you love or just being in a nice place. And keep bringing that image back to your heart. Feel the lightness in your body. Feel the enthusiasm for life again. And make a promise to yourself to spend a few minutes every day just on reflecting and being aware. And we always finish with wishing the world well. So please wish everybody peace and joy, love and light. Think of people who you've hurt, and in your mind, apologize to them and send them love and light. Think of people that have hurt you. Take their apology and send them love and light. Now make a firm commitment to yourself